What I want to do is help you all save time and just give you the shortcut so that you don't have to go through the same headache I did to make sure you're profitable. One of the biggest mistakes that independent insurance agents make is that they look at everything that's being deposited into their bank account as their money. They look at that money as their profit, which is not true. If you're an independent insurance agent, that you are running your own business, you're paying for your own leads, that is your top line revenue. That is your gross, not the net income or the profitability of the actual business. And so in this video, we're going to break down exactly what you need to track so that you can make sure that you're actually netting and getting what you need into your bank account. But also, if you guys stick around to the end, we're going to talk about how you can actually track and so that you can start to work the better leads and you can start to narrow things down so that you can become more strategic and make more money with the same amount of time. All you have to do is track, and the numbers are going to tell you what to do. So let's dive in. All right. A big mistake that a lot of insurance agents make is they're looking at all of the deposits that are getting into their bank account as their money. Or even worse, they're looking at the numbers that they're submitting into the leaderboard, right? Maybe they submit a policy that's a $2,400 AP policy, and then they're planning on getting a $2,400 commission, right? And so that is going to create a lot of issues for you in your business. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying that you can't be profitable without tracking these things, right? You can make money in insurance without tracking anything, right? You can just buy leads, call the leads, make money. And I've seen a lot of people do it, and I've done it myself, right? It took me longer than what I would really, want it to figure out what to track and how to do it. And so what I want to do is help you all save time and just give you the shortcut so that you don't have to go through the same headache I did in terms of trying to learn what to track, since in my experience, there's not a lot of people in our industry talking about what to actually track to make sure you're profitable. So typically, as you're starting in insurance, there are going to be some startup costs, right? Like getting your insurance licenses. And if you're going to become an independent broker that is working in a telesales environment, you're going to have to get licensed in your resident state, and then you're going to have to get other licenses in other states. Now, the good news is that once you take the test in your resident state and you get your license, the other states you don't have to take a test for. In the other states, you can just buy the licenses. And the good news about it is the license is not a reoccurring charge, right? You just pay for it, and now then you have renewal fees typically every 2 years, but that's not costing you money every month. You do have to factor it into your startup costs, though. Now, the cost per state is going to vary. Some of them are really high depending on the state, but most of them, I want to say the average is right around like $70 per state. So that's nothing too crazy, right? Now, the other startup costs that you're probably going to incur are going to be things like a CRM that you're going to have to pay for monthly. You're going to need most of the time some sort of tool to quote. A lot of IMOs will provide you with a tool to quote that is free, but most people want to upgrade and get something that's a little bit easier to use. What we use in our team is insurance toolkits. It makes your job like 1,000 times easier. And it's not always going to be accurate, right? And there are no computer systems that are always 100% accurate, but through some experience, you'll start to get to know the carriers better. It makes it a lot easier to just have one software that you can go to, you can put all their information into, and it runs all of the carriers' quotes right there instead of having to go into each individual carrier or feel like you have to have everything memorized. And so you're going to have some sort of quoting tool. Now, those are really going to be the majority of your expenses outside of leads, right? The leads are going to be the biggest cost of running in an independent insurance agency, right? Because you have to make sure you have people to talk to. And so as we're looking at this, what we're really going to focus on is tracking your profitability with the leads, because those are going to be the costs that are going to vary because you're going to have different types of leads. And so they're going to cost different amount. And so we need to make sure that we're tracking the cost per acquisition. How much does it actually cost us to acquire a sale, right? And so we need to track that. Also, we want to track what type of policies are we getting from certain lead types. Because if we're getting a lot of, let's say we have lead type A that costs us $20 a lead, and in that our cost per acquisition is $200, right? And so that's pretty average. And so that might be a lead type that we might want to scale depending on what our commission looks like. But let's say with lead type A, the demographic of people that we're talking to is a lot of unhealthy people. And so we're getting a lot of guaranteed issue policies. Guaranteed issue policies pay a lot lower commission compared to policies that have medical questions where people qualify for them. So if we have that cost per acquisition, and then let's say we're getting a decent submitted AP, what could easily happen is that we look at that and we say, okay, I'm profitable, right? I bought these leads. They're $20 a lead. I spent $1,000. I got all of them. I haven't even called all of them. I've written 5,000 in annual production. I'm good. I've already submitted that. I 5x'd my money. And the fact of the matter is you did not 5x your money, right? If that all went to guaranteed issue and you submitted 5,000 in AP, right? You still have to get it to issue, meaning that the client still has to pay their premiums. And then once it issues, right, you have to factor in your actual commission rate. And so your commission rate, let's say it's 45%, and then you get advanced, usually on guaranteed issue, you don't get advanced 75%, you usually get advanced 65%. And so now you have a 45% commission, you're getting advanced 65%. If you guys do the math, right, you did not 5x your money. And so it's really, really important that you track these things so that you actually know and you can make sure that you aren't one of these people all talking about the leaderboard, talking about how you're 5xing your money, right? And there's no money in your bank account. And so what actually matters is what is hitting your bank account and how profitable you are. And so as you're going through it, the way you want to set it up is, and there's a lot of different ways to set it up. This is just how I set it up. And so this is really easy for me. It made it easy to track. It wasn't too hard to set up, which is one of the most important things, right? I didn't want to spend 2-3 days setting up spreadsheets and then have something that was really hard to track. I wanted something really easy, okay? And so all you guys are going to do is open up an Excel or a Google Sheet or something of that nature, right? And then you want to track your actual sales. Okay, so as you make a sale, every time you make a sale, instead of being a piece of shit and just moving on to the next person and then forgetting about that person forever, you're going to take 30 seconds and go pull up your spreadsheet and put their information into your spreadsheet so that you can actually track it like a responsible business owner. So what you're going to track is you're going to put the date, right? I think that's pretty obvious. Now what you're going to track is how did that sale come about? You're either going to have a one-call close. It could be a follow-up, right? Where you talked to the person before, but you didn't schedule an appointment. You're just following up. It could be a loose set appointment, right? Where somebody, you called them, they didn't have time right then. You didn't have time to really get into a conversation. And so you just scheduled an appointment, right? I would consider that a loose set appointment. And then you're going to have your firm appointments. Now, I like to track that so I know where my sales are coming from, because a big misconception in this industry is that appointments are not worth it. And people will tell you just to burn the lead and to not follow up with people, not set appointments. And based on the data that I have, that is not true. So track where that sale came from. The next thing I'm going to track is the time, right? So I want to track the time that I actually talked to that person within their time zone. That way I can start to specify what time of day most of my sales are coming from. Because if I'm getting most of my sales in the morning, I probably shouldn't be going to the gym in the morning. I should probably be working and trying to get more sales and going to the gym maybe in the afternoon, right? Or if most of my sales are coming in the afternoons, vice versa. And so it's going to show me the spots where I should be working because that's where I'm getting most of my sales. So I'm going to track that time zone. The next thing I'm going to put on that spreadsheet is the dial number that person picked up on, right? Now, this is something that is going to be very, very important that a lot of people forget to look at, right? But the reason this is important is because you will start to see how many dials it actually takes you to make a sale. And so then you'll be able to look over your data after you have quite a bit of sales in there and say, okay, maybe after 7 dials, I shouldn't call my leads anymore. And maybe I'll give them to my agents, or I just will let them, maybe I'll just text them, email them, do different campaigns like that. But I'm not actually going to call them because I have all of this data that shows in my last 100 sales, one of them has happened on dials 7 plus, right? So I want the dial number in there. When did I make contact with this person? Then I'm typically going to have the person's information so that I can track that. The beneficiaries are in there. Now, this is where we actually start to get into the profitability. I'm going to track the product, right? I want to track the annual premium as well as the advance amount. Okay, so on the product, you're going to know the advance amount. Now, the annual premium is going to be pretty obvious. But when you write the product in and you're setting up your spreadsheet, what you need to factor in is the commission rate. So I'm going to put the product and then my actual commission rate and my actual advance rate. And then that's going to give me my estimated commission to be paid out. So now I have an accurate number of a commission that I can be expecting, and I'm not shocked when I get a $500 commission from a $1,800 premium or whatever it may be, right? I'm just using round numbers. And so that is going to set up realistic expectations for you. Okay, and then I'm going to put the draft date in there. I want to make sure that the draft date is in there, and you can color code the draft date box so that when that date is coming up, it flags, right? Maybe it goes orange a week before, indicating to you that you should reach out to that client, let them know that the draft date is coming. If it wasn't an immediate draft, that way you can make sure that the client has the money in the account, you can solidify the sale, and you have an extra touch point. And so now you have all of the information you need from that actual sale to be able to track how much commission you're going to earn. Now, the nice thing about that is as time goes on, you're going to be able to figure out your actual average commission rate, right? And so I know that everybody wants to talk about their contracted rate and the sexy number, right? I have 100% commission. I have 110% commission. I'm at 120, right? None of that actually matters. All that matters is how much you're actually getting paid, okay? And so now you're going to have your accurate average commission, right? And then we're going to tie the lead source in there. So I tie in the lead source at the end of that. I know the commissions, right? And then I'm going to put down lead type, and then I'm going to put down date of purchase, okay? So that is that sheet. Now I'm going to attach a second sheet within the same Excel or Google Sheets or whatever you're using. That is where I'm tracking my leads. Okay, now ideally I get these sheets to work together. If you don't know how to, if you're not very good with spreadsheets, then I'd recommend just using ChatGPT. ChatGPT will walk you through it. You can give it screenshots, right? And it will show you how to set up the entire spreadsheet. The beautiful thing about this day and age is that you do not have to know how to use these things to actually set it up. Right? You can literally just give ChatGPT screenshots and it will show you exactly what to do. So I have a second sheet within the same file, right? This is where I'm going to track what I'm spending on leads. And so with leads, all I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the date of purchase, how much I spent, how many leads that's going to get me, and that's now I have my cost per lead, right? Especially if I'm running like marketing or something like that. And then from there, right, I'm going to start to link my sales to the actual lead purchase. And what I want to have happen is, again, I'm having that other page communicate with this one so that when I put down the lead type and the date of those leads, ideally it goes into this sheet, and by the column that I have that shows how much I purchased, I have my expected commissions next to that file of where I purchased those leads. So now I can see, okay, for this lead type, I'm this profitable. For this lead type, I'm this profitable, right? And I can start to get an idea of that. And the other, now next to that one, I can also start to factor in my cost per acquisition, right? It's really, really easy because I can start to see, okay, from this purchase of leads, I made 10 sales. I spent $1,000 on that bin of leads. And so my cost per acquisition is $100, right? And now I have the other side of that right there in that file showing me exactly what my average commission is as well on those leads. So I can start to really see how profitable I am from that lead type. And that is going to allow me to start to focus in on the more profitable lead types, right? And then from there, I can start to focus in, hone in on the lead types that are more profitable, which is going to help me make more money without having to work more hours. I can be more strategic to help increase my net profit, okay? And so that is what really matters, is your net profit. And so in that second lead sheet. Now, if you don't want to go through the ChatGPT setup and making these sheets talk to each other, that's okay. I had these sheets where they didn't talk to each other for a couple of years. Not a big deal, right? All you're going to do is after you input the customer's information on the first sheet, then you go to the second sheet, right? And now you're going to update that sheet with the information that you have. And so I have in that second sheet, right, I have the date of purchase for those leads, I have how much I spent, the lead type, where they're coming from, and then I'm going to have the AP, right, the submitted AP, the expected commission, all right, and so I can update that. And then I have the number of sales, which is automatically going to allow me to factor in the cost per acquisition. And so this is going to be able to help you guys make sure that you're streamlining things, you're being as efficient as possible. You're going to be able to use this data to be able to look back and see what time of day your sales are happening. You're going to be able to look back and see what dial, right? How many dials it takes you to actually get a hold of people and make a sale. You're going to be able to see what lead type is going to be the most profitable. And all of these things are going to allow you to make more money in the same amount of time. That way you can continue to scale without working 27 hours a day, like I know we all want to. So hopefully this helps. If you guys want hands-on support and you want to be a part of a team that your leaders are actually talking about these things and helping you set up these resources, right? Then reach out to us. The link is in the description. We do a call every week talking about the different opportunities that we're plugged into, where we can help you get plugged in and make money quickly.